Podtacular, the unofficial Halo Universe podcast, presents episode 845, Infinite Year 1, recorded live on January 5th, 2023. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Podtacular, the unofficial Halo Universe podcast. I am one of your co-hosts, Duststorm.
I'm your other co-host, Godzilla T.
And welcome to 2023, Year 2 of Halo Infinite, Year 10 of MCC? No. 8, 9 of MCC. I was off by a year.
22 years of Halo.
It will be come November. We got a few months to get there, but yes, it will be. Eventually. Well, we finally made it to 2023. Woohoo! We didn't have a podcast last week, but we are here with renewed vigor for this year. I've got some goals I'd like to do for the podcast and the community that I'll touch on. No, I have not talked about these with Geeky yet. This is just merely a preliminary for what I would like to do. Of course, we have some other things that
this is so about. You can hold him accountable.
Yes.
Because he doesn't listen to me anymore. He keeps saying I'm nagging him.
About what?
I don't know.
You don't really say that much. I mean, there's things I mentioned, and you say, "Yeah, that sounds good," and then I admit I don't do what I say I need to do. So if it's just that, then yeah, I guess. Like getting guests on the show that I've said I would get on the show and haven't done that, or giveaways and
having some kind of bot that would automatically put out tweets and stream notifications and I
mean, at least that work has started. The only problem with that now is there's a puppy involved, which has basically set the whole last month of our lives on a crazy course to.
So I see the puppy's treating you well.
Yes, it has. We've gotten through probably some of the initial rough bits. There's still some rough bits going on as far as still getting woken up every 3 hours, or at least one of us is getting woken up every 3 hours to take him out. We'll be very happy when we don't have to deal with taking the puppy out at 10, midnight, 3, 5, and 7 in the morning.
You know, that lasted about a week for me. Actually, it didn't last that long because I never got up out of bed to take him outside, and neither did the wife.
Oh, so he just learned the hard way.
She did, yes.
Or she did.
Generally what we do is we get them to go outside, and usually within a couple of days of them figuring out that they need to go outside, the bulk of the accidents inside stop.
Yeah, it didn't quite work out that way for us.
Yeah.
Our pup knows he needs to go outside, but if we trained him at least to, we have a bell, little sleigh bell type things up hanging by the door, except he'll ring that just to get attention and to go outside without the potty. So at least it's still a mechanism of if he needs to go, we still take him outside. Sometimes it just, he wants to go outside 3 or 4 more times, and by the 4th time it's like, okay, you clearly don't need to go potty, you're staying inside, and if you keep doing it, we're crating you. So,
well, see, that's just it. While you're outside, you need to reinforce the potty aspect.
And that's what we've been doing. Or at least that's what we've been attempting to do.
Yeah.
Partly successful. We did use puppy pads early on Confal, and we do have the kennel or the crate that we use. That's where he sleeps, and then I've left him out of his crate for this week while I've been working down here while I'm working from home. And it has worked without him having an accident. We invested in a baby monitor so we can monitor the dog. And that has helped with no accidents. So thankfully we've been accident free for 2 weeks now in the house, which is good. But as far as puppy pads, we're trying to forego any inkling of letting him go in the house.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
Good luck with it.
Thanks. He's 11 weeks old. He'll be 12 weeks old this coming weekend. So it's hard to imagine that we've only had him for about a month.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like it's been longer. Anyways, that's the puppy update. If anyone wants to go see pictures on Instagram, it's Milo the Petty. That's Petti.
Oh my God, you didn't give him his own Instagram, did you?
Our cats have their own Instagram, and he has his own Instagram. The only pet that does not have its own Instagram is our parakeet. Because there's not really a lot there to post about our parakeet. Yes, Fuchs. X days since last accident in the house by the dog. Anyways, that's how my last month has been. What have you been up to, GT?
Unfortunately, we've had a death in the family. My TV that I bought to play Halo 3 on died.
Oh, man. That's some memories, I bet.
Yep. I bought a Samsung 56-inch rear projection DLP TV in 2007 for specifically Halo 3. That was a rather expensive year for me.
I bet. Especially for a TV like that.
TV, Xbox, Halo 3 Xbox, Halo 3 Legendary Edition, Halo 3 accessories, the little headphone,
yep.
the Spanker case.
Yep.
Yeah. Just a few odds and ends.
To pause on that, Halo 3 has by far the best accessories and Legendary Edition of any Halo.
I don't know. I kind of like the statues. Don't get me wrong. I'm not knocking Master Chief's helmet. That's cool. Be even cooler if you could put it on your head.
They made one of those.
No, it would be cooler if that one you could put on your head.
Well.
Anyway. Anywho, yes, my TV passed away. So I got a new one, and the picture looks weird.
Not used to it, huh? Not used to the new flat screen LED or QLED or OLED.
It's a QLED. It's an LG, and last night we set it up, and we watched Transformers the last night.
Okay,
which is a movie we're pretty familiar with. We've watched it multiple times. We own it. It's been on TV multiple times, so we're really familiar with it. And it looked weird. I mean, to the point where the special effects they really looked fake to me.
Huh. Because the image is just that much sharper, so it sticks out more, probably.
Yeah, it really sticks out. I mean, the CG, it just really stands out.
I've never really thought about that, but making that change from...
Well, that's one thing I always liked about projector TVs is, they don't have the sharpest picture. They don't have a lot of the new things that a lot of these LED TVs, but I think they deliver a more natural picture quality. It's not.
I can see that.
I mean, in real life, there's not sharp edges around everything. There's a gradient, and with a projector screen TV, you get that just because of the reactive layer in the screen.
Mm-hmm.
So switching to is a nano LED. I don't know all the specs right off the top of my head. It's a change.
Yeah,
everything looks funny now.
Everything
the shadows even look off, which is weird. But anyway,
it's interesting to hear your perspective on it because it's something that I honestly haven't thought about in so long. Just because the last time I had any kind of analog TV like that was back when I was living with my parents in high school.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that digital really takes away from as far as nuances.
I mean, obviously, you need it for like actual computing and doing stuff like that. And video games.
But don't get me wrong, I have no problem with LED backlit or LCDs, LED. I'm sitting in front of 4 LCD screens right now. I don't have I don't have a problem with them. It's just for certain things, analog just kind of makes things more appealing to me. It's a personal preference. And I'm sure after a while I'll get used to the TV. Just right now I'm in that it looks weird.
Yep. It's like if you wear a new pair of shoes, like they feel weird, even though you
they
got
hurt
the
your feet.
exact same shoes.
Yeah.
Because they're new, they feel weird.
So.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
What happened to it? Is it just some part?
It's overheating. So I took it apart and I blew all the dust out, which honestly, there wasn't as much in there as I thought there would be. I haven't dusted it since 2007. I mean,
wow. Okay.
And this is with, pets in the house, and pets just generate dust. Don't get me wrong. There were some pretty sizable dust bunnies in there, and there were areas that had some dust, but it was not near as dusty as I thought it was going to be. I thought it was just going to be kind of like one gray sheet in there.
Right. Just one thick coat, and you just go, oh.
I think one of the cooling fans for the light bulb has died, or for the CPU. I could probably fix it if I could find the parts. The trick is tearing it apart, finding the problem, finding out if it's just a sensor that's giving me trouble or if it's a dead fan. It's probably a dead fan. And then finding a replacement part. And then on top, it's getting to the point where it's about due for a new bulb, which the bulbs, it's been out long. Well, the bulbs have been, it's been out long enough where the bulbs are pretty cheap.
Oh, okay.
They're not near as expensive as they used to be. Like the first bulb I bought for it was $180.
Was that just for one color, or?
No, it only has one bulb.
Okay.
It was $180 for the bulb, and the last bulb I bought was like $75.
Oh, that's not bad.
Actual Samsung bulbs, which are actually made by Philips. Anyway.
Well, sorry to hear about the TV. Hope you get accustomed to your new TV quickly so it doesn't... And I guess you probably don't suffer from like any of the motion stuff.
No. I haven't fired up the smart portion of it yet.
The smart portions of TVs are always sluggish.
From what I gather on this one's pretty good.
Really? What brand did you get?
Now you're going to make me look.
Because I've got a Sony 4K TV, and the smart TV part of it is slow. And the TV's only like 4 years old.
It's an LG.
Okay.
It is, mine's a 55-inch, so it's a 55 QNED85UQA. It is actually built, the hardware in it is actually designed and targeted towards cloud gaming.
Oh.
It is a 120 hertz screen.
So it's actually
up to 4K resolution, Dolby Vision. It actually is ready for Dolby Atmos. I mean, it's a nice TV. It's got a lot of features in it. I don't know if I'm going to use them.
Mm-hmm.
But the deal it wasn't that expensive. Believe it or not, this TV was cheaper than the one it replaced. Significantly.
Okay.
Like I said, I was at the point with my old TV, the cost of fixing it versus replacing it. Yeah, there's the big cost difference, but how much longer until something else fails? Anyway.
Yep, makes sense. Cool.
So I said.
That's too bad.
I missed my TV.
Welcome to the Podtacular.
But the nice thing is all of the Xbox picture fits on the TV now. So.
Oh, instead of being cropped off on the corners.
I never could get it set. I never could get any of the Xbox Ones to completely keep the picture on the screen.
Yeah, that was one of the little quirks about the old analog stuff is that overscan. So
for the 360s, it worked fine. It just for the Xbox ones, it just never did quite work right.
Yeah.
Anywho,
everyone here is here to hear about Halo, although everything's kind of been off and on Halo related. But nonetheless, we've been playing a lot of Halo Infinite for our Fragging Fridays. We also had an additional thing that we did on
New Year's Eve.
New Year's Eve. Okay. So it was Saturday.
Yep.
So still knocking in some of the Halo Infinite customs, getting some new ones rotated in. And
you're not going to tell them what we did?
I'm getting there.
Oh, okay.
And then we did the campaign co-op. My first time doing it. I don't know if it was your first time doing it.
First time for me too.
And we had
4 tank guns until somebody lost his.
And then someone else lost theirs. I was the first one to lose mine. And then Confal lost his. So right now GT and Pins are the only ones with their tank guns left.
We're only playing on normal, so I mean it's not like it's necessary. It's just fun. I was really if we pick this up again, we may go back and get you tank guns before we face Eshram. Because I want to hit him with 4 tank guns.
Well, doesn't just one take him out?
Yeah, but I want to see how far he bounces.
I mean, we're going to get that achievement like that. And I think that achievement is specifically made because of the tank gun.
Kill Eshram without losing your shields, right?
Yep.
Is it losing or taking damage?
I mean, either one is hard with Eshram. I think it's losing shields, but either way, the tank gun's going to one-shot knock him out anyway.
I just want to see what happens when you hit Eshram with 4 tank guns.
It's like, okay, everyone just mash your right trigger for the end of the cutscene, and then boom.
I've already got the fun skulls turned on, so he should bounce pretty good.
Might clip out of the map or something. So we got through the Spire mission. So we're about no. We finished the anti-air island. We just finished that.
Yeah,
that was the last thing that we did. So we made it. I'd say that's close to halfway through the campaign in one go, and that was what 3-4 hours,
something like that. Of course, people kept getting distracted with going over here, going over here. We weren't exactly going bink, 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 bink.
I mean, we were going in the general direction. It's just we were picking up other little things along the way. Spartan cores, looking for other achievements and other things. So we might do it again.
It took us 2 tries, but we did get the hunter one.
Yep.
The first time we kind of blew the hunter off the map and he didn't die.
Yeah, that was funny. Yep. The first pair of hunters that was under the spire before you go into it, tank gun blew one way far away.
And then he magically reappeared.
Yeah, I think after a while they kind of reset the spawns. And that happened to one of the fobs too, is we were using the tank guns and we actually blew one of the enemies so far up into the sky that it was still flying and we couldn't capture the fob because there was still an enemy that was assigned to the area alive. We had to go away from the fob and come back for it to be like, oh, okay, all the enemies are dead.
Yeah, while we're doing one of the banished outposts, all of a sudden we get notification, you can take this fob now. Thanks.
Yeah. It's like, oh,
we're a little busy at the moment.
The cleanup timer finally decided to say, oh, that enemy is no longer an issue. Or it's dead. Yeah, skulls have some interesting effects in the campaign. But it's fun.
The tank guns has interesting effects on the game.
Is there a effect skull that's on that effect? Like, does the increase explosion impact or anything like that?
Yeah, cowbell.
Okay, that's the one. So yeah, tank guns in addition to cowbell makes physics.
God, can you imagine what would happen if you had feather too?
You could fly to the other side of the ring. Whee! Oh, and we found, yes, Pens, we did find out that too. Tank gun in the Warhog really isn't effective because as you're holding the tank gun, your Spartan stands up, and you can only shoot the direction that your Spartan is facing, not where you're looking.
It is absolutely hilarious to watch 3 Spartans stand on the back of a Razorback.
Yep.
What was your point of view, by the way? Was your point of view sitting down or standing up?
It was still the third person view, and it looked like we were standing up.
Okay, it looked like you were standing up. You were okay.
Yep.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, we can see ourselves standing up in the not T pose, but the standard pose, the idle pose.
I could tell when somebody switched weapons because they immediately sit down.
Yep. It was a lot of fun though. We're still planning on doing Halo Infinite customs and matchmaking on Fridays. I don't think we have any current plans to change that up or to introduce Halo 5 multiplayer or MCC into the mix. But if there is interest, please let us know. Drop a note in the Game Night channel on our Discord.
Mm-hmm. And if you have any game types or modes that you've come across for Infinite or MCC or Halo 5, drop them in the game chat.
Yep. Drop the links if you can get them. Otherwise, mode and author helps narrow the search down.
Yes. For MCC and Halo 5, please give us the author, the name of the map, and the name of the game type.
Yes. And Confal, I think we did Rainbow Road. Did we do Rainbow? No? Okay, so that was a couple of other groups that I played with. There's 2 different Rainbow Roads out there. I'm partial to one of them. I'm partial to the one that's not the one that doesn't look like it's just tiles the entire time. The NES style or the Super Nintendo style Rainbow Road, like the more Nintendo 64 style Rainbow Road.
Yeah, the one I saw was the tiles.
Yeah. Oh, we did it after GT left. Right. Okay. That's why I was thinking about it.
Yeah, sorry. Join us on Fridays.
Yeah, that happens. Join us on Fridays, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. We kick off our multiplayer, starting with kind of matchmaking warm up, and then once the party gets too big, or once the party decides to move over to customs, then we'll go over to customs. So come join us. Have some fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we can play with up to 24 people now.
Right. Yep.
We can actually have more people in the game than we can in an Xbox party.
Guess Xbox parties are still limited to 16, aren't they?
Uh-huh.
Discord call.
Actually, I've actually been thinking about switching over to that. Now that
Xbox supports, Xbox.
Yeah, now that you can do that with Xbox. If you're interested, just a quick little PSA. In order to join a Discord call from Xbox, you have to do it through your phone, I believe.
I believe the mobile app. Correct. I believe that's correct.
I've played with it a little bit. It's hard to test when it's just you.
Right.
But it did connect to the voice chat that I had chose. So we may start doing that, depending on what people feel like. Because, like I said, with the ability of the Xbox to connect directly to Discord, it would make it a lot easier, especially when we have larger parties.
It would be nice if there was a way to almost like send an invite to a voice channel.
Yeah, I don't know that there is. I think you have to actually choose the voice channel you want to enter.
I mean, Discord is implementing features like crazy, so I'm sure they're thinking of some way to kind of solve this problem.
Except for that's an Xbox feature, not a Discord feature.
It could depend. I mean,
the joining a Discord call from Xbox is an Xbox feature. It's something that was developed by Microsoft in collaboration with Discord.
Okay, it's a joint thing for them to solve. Nonetheless, with Discord's reputation, I'm sure it's something that they probably are looking into.
Only if they can talk Microsoft into it.
Well, I wonder what the experience is on PS5, because Discord was available on
I don't
PS5
know PlayStation, so I can't tell you.
I don't either. I'm just curious. That's all. That's all. Anyways, thanks, Pins, for following Milo on Instagram. If you want to follow the
I'm
cats,
not.
there's the petty kitties.
No. No. Honestly, I don't even have Instagram installed right now on my phone.
You don't have to follow, but there's some cute puppy pictures. I'm just saying.
I don't need cute puppy pictures. All I have to do is come home.
I mean, yes, that's true.
Even though mine's 4 years old, she's still freaking puppy.
Puppy brain.
Oh, yeah. You said you got a lab too, right?
Golden Retriever.
Golden Retriever. Okay. Well, they'll settle down a little bit sooner. Labs, I don't think they ever get out of the puppy phase.
I've seen some labs get chill, but I think that
when they're 13 or 14.
I think a lab's temperament is typically a little bit more energetic than a golden. Our puppy training that we go to at Petco on Mondays, one of the other dogs there is a 5-month-old black lab.
You got to be kidding me, Laird. Laird's saying that they actually have a Instagram app for a Windows 8 phone.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
That's all right. I don't have a Windows 8 phone anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Yep, they had an Instagram app.
Because my Windows 8 phone got updated to Windows 10. Windows Phone 10.
Flip phone. Instagram flip phone. Yeah, right. So, as far as other Podtacular community stuff, there's a couple of things from our Discord. Penn shared a TikTok and this is basically a guy riffing on if the Predator has come across Master Chief, and basically the TLDR is basically the Predator is on some kind of hotline, and he's describing Master Chief, and the person on the hotline is like, yeah, you're screwed, basically. That's over in the Discord. And then Prestige shared something. I'm not sure if this is the first person to reach max level or if this is just someone reaching max level, but he shared a clip of someone in MCC reaching max level. So I'm guessing...
Blitz did. Actually, in the last couple of weeks, I've seen like 2 or 3 people hit max rank.
So I guess a few people have just finally gotten there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's all we got for the community corner. On the official Halo news side of things, there's not really anything because, as is usual at the end of the year, most of Microsoft goes on leave for 2 weeks. So there really hasn't been any updates in the past 2 weeks. The only thing that we really got is people starting to tweet from the studio that they're back in on things. We've got 2 new playlists that are out. We've got doubles in Halo Infinite, and we've got Griffball in MCC. Tashi put out a tweet earlier yesterday, saying that the HDS team is back in full force, and their focuses are releasing info on the Season 2 opener, which is going to be in Charlotte, North Carolina, working with dev team on balances, the actual Charlotte major itself, finalizing Season 2 roadmap, support for the Spartan Showdown by SSG, Space Station Gaming, coming up here in the next month. Social and content plans for the season, partnerships, and relaunching the HES Grassroots program. So lots of interesting things coming down the pipe for HCS. The Space Station qualifier is going down again this weekend, January 7th and 8th. Starting at 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 Eastern. You can go on over to aka.ms/ssg-qualifier to register. And that'll all culminate later the following weekend for the main event. And this is a $25,000 prize pool up for grabs. 8 teams invited, 8 qualify, NA and Mexico eligible. And there will be drops. So for everyone that wants to collect your customizations, I don't know if there's going to be any new drops, but there will be drops for this event regardless. I watch to get the drops and moderate because Twitch chat can get a little rowdy sometimes.
Really?
Yeah,
I never
really.
noticed.
You wouldn't think it, but no, that's very obvious. From the gear side of things, first thing out the window is the 2023 Halo calendar. So you can go find that over at the Halo Gear Shop. Got some nice cutscenes from the game for the different months in the calendar. And go ahead and deck your house with style. Or your wall, I guess, wherever you would hang your calendar. And that's about it. We'll probably see a lot more article stuff come out over the next week or so as, again, the studio gets back into the swing of things. On another note, HCS Pro Talk reached 5 years this week for their podcast, so congratulations to you guys.
Most definitely, congratulations.
I remember meeting JK Fire, yeah, at Worlds 2018. For the very first time. It's hard to imagine that's actually was almost 8 years ago. But yeah, they've been rocking it out.
Time.
So congratulations to you guys for 5 years.
Time gets away from you.
It certainly does. It certainly does. But yeah, just huge congrats to them. They've been knocking it out of the park with competitive talk in podcast format. So definitely the HCS podcast to listen to if you are into the competitive scene and want to be up to date on all of the musings, all the news, all the team drama, all that fun stuff. And that will lead us into our main topic for the podcast. Yes, we're bringing topics back. And as one of my commitments to hopefully this year, kind of revamping, I did not do a very good job just last year in general with having topics to discuss, having a good schedule, having things ready ahead of time, like more than 6 hours ahead of time, or in some cases more than an hour ahead of time. So my goal is to have at least one guest a month. Ideally it would be 2, but at least one guest a month. Have topics posted for each podcast that get put out into the Discord and social for people to comment on, and we can have a discussion about things. And that's kind of the bare minimum for the podcast right now, is at least one guest a month and getting topics out and getting socials out for the podcast and podcast related things. More stuff we'll be talking about in further detail as I get to talk with Haas. Yes, he still is planning to be on the podcast. He's getting into the final pieces of his house being ready and his life kind of stabilizing. So we will have Haas back. But I need to talk with Haas and GT on plans for the podcast. But as a bare minimum, those are things that are goals for the podcast this year. So with that, our first topic for this year is kind of doing a year retrospective of Infinite, because I don't think we actually formally did one. We kind of briefly talked about some of the things that came out, and kind of at the end of the year mark is, we finally have campaign co-op, and we finally have Forge. But we haven't really talked about the kind of end-to-end product of what it was like when Halo Infinite released and where it's actually come to. So as far as responses, we got folks in the chat. Feel free to chime in. I did post this question out on social and in our Discord. We have a whole podcast discussion channel in our Discord. If you go over and check it out, that's where we'll be posting questions, and then all of the different responses that we get back we'll read on the show and we'll discuss. So GT, would you like to share our thoughts first, or do you want to go into some of the responses that we got in Discord and kind of riff off of that?
Your choice.
All right, well, let's put the first response here since it's from Pins. So we asked 3 questions. What is your impression of the first year of Halo Infinite? What things do you think are missing? And what would you like to see on the roadmap for the next year? Those are kind of the big 3 questions that we asked for the topic of the show. And Pins writes, I think overall, I have really enjoyed Halo Infinite. I really enjoyed the campaign, and exploring Zeta Halo is really fun. Sniper Jackals aside. From a multiplayer aspect, I have had fun playing it as well. I find it challenging to me anyways, and while not perfect, found it pretty dang good. From what's missing, I don't want to belabor these points as they are ones we all have brought up. Not getting Chief's armor after finishing the campaign on Legendary, lack of certain game types like infection and griffball, the limited number of maps. I'm guessing he means developer-made maps, and customizations not being what they presented. I think everyone agrees with that one.
Mm-hmm.
The main thing I want to see is what's next for campaign? Are we getting another DLC type, or are we getting a Spartan Ops-like expansion? I think I would prefer the latter, but just want some information on it. Initial thoughts on Pins' response?
I agree. I mean, it is what it is.
Yep.
Did Infinite have the greatest launch ever? No. Had a better launch than MCC.
This is true. I don't think that can be argued that against that much, but yeah, it did technically have a better launch than MCC.
I think it had a better launch than Halo 5, personally. At least with Infinite, everything that was available is something that I enjoyed playing. With Halo 5, there were really only like 2 playlists that I hung around in. Because they were pushing the Breakout thing and Warzone.
Which was a mistake.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I liked Warzone. But, I mean, it's fun when you got a group, but when you're playing by yourself, it never really clicked. You know, not like Big Team does.
Right. Yep.
So, in my opinion, Infinite launched better than Halo 5. It should have launched a lot better than Halo 5. What we have today is what it should have launched with, plus some more. We've discussed that.
Arguably, yep.
I'm looking forward to some of the new features they've talked about. I'm looking forward to seeing more dev-made maps. And I mean actual dev-made maps, not dev-forged maps.
Yep.
I'm looking forward to more pre-made game types, especially Infection. And not because I like Infection. Modes. I actually hate Infection, but it makes a really good base for customs.
Yep. For all those mini games.
Mm-hmm.
And we mean proper game mode that you can configure the options, not via script brain, but actual natively supported game modes. Or just give us a game mode that's like the custom game mode or like the insane game mode from Reach, and just throw a bunch of options that can be referenced by a script brain, and then let people use those settings within the game mode options to help dictate the... I think that's honestly the best way to get some of this content going. Is Infection is kind of unique, and it has a lot of those unique options where I think having a baseline Infection would be good. Baseline Infection, baseline Zone Control, baseline Oddball, VIP, Capture the Flag, Slayer. Because there's like maybe 6 core game modes, probably, maybe 6 or 7, that you could call out that other game modes that have been in Halo have been derived off of. Like Slayer, Capture the Flag, Ball Mode, Zone Control, like Capture the Flag, King of the Hill, Domination, or Dominion, Extraction, Race, Infection. I think is enough of difference where you could make that as kind of its own base. But yeah, like 6 or 7 base modes that would support kind of all of the rest of the built-in game modes that we've seen in other Halo titles. So I do agree that the Chief Armor missing in multiplayer being selected is kind of a downer. I've wanted to have that for a while, and some of the later... It's only been kind of the later Halo games where you complete the campaign on Legendary. I think all 343's games have done this. I don't think Bungie's games did this, but you got the Master Chief Armor. So to not have it in Infinite, like, the weapon lockers would have been the perfect thing for that. It's like, okay, collect all the different Mark 7 Mjolnir pieces or something. But definitely think more dev-made maps. Unicheck actually put out a tweet a couple days ago asking what's the one major thing that you think Halo Infinite needs, and I replied that we need dev-made maps. Not forged, but dev-made maps. And modes. So pins point 2 and 3 are like my top 2 as far as what Infinite needs. And I think the formula of 3 arena, 1 big team works as far as like content release, and throw in the new game mode in there. So have the next one include Infection, have the one after that include Griffball, have the next one after that include an official race variant, something like that. As far as campaign DLC, it'd be nice to see it.
Well, considering that was kind of the whole purpose of the game, or the design of the game, I would like to see that expanded upon. I understand they've got some stuff to fix, but
boy, do they have some stuff to fix. Yep.
I have to admit, the game has improved over the last year, besides the additional content. The playability of the game has gotten better. It's gotten a lot more stable. So that's, they have worked on it, and it's better than it was when it launched. So this is a plus.
Yep.
Does it still need more work? Yes.
Yeah. Thanks, Prestige, for the 30 months. Good to have you on board. We've been kind of off and on trying to schedule him for his next Patreon appearance, because he's reached that 2.5 years at this point on Patreon. And there's been some just things in the way of I think his computer had a problem at one point, and then he got sick. So we're looking to hopefully get
a lot of that going around right now.
Yeah. So we'll be getting Prestige back on the podcast here pretty soon to fulfill his Patreon pledge. So if you all want a chance to be a guest on one of our podcasts, you can go on over to patreon.com/Podtacular. Haven't plugged that enough. Because I just started uploading the VODs from late August back up to the channel. So I'll be making a Patreon post about that when they're actually all finally caught up. I've got 6 more episodes to post, but yeah. Anyways, Laird posted what he's calling a little hot take. Even if Halo Infinite had released with all the content that I released up till December 2022, it would still only moderately have more population than it does now. I definitely think 343 is in a tough spot with Halo, because you have a lot of other first-person shooters that saturate the market, for one.
Mm-hmm.
That, in a way, play better is not the right term, but as far as like
play differently,
Halo plays pretty uniquely compared to like Call of Duty and like a lot of the other shooters that are a little bit more fast-paced. Halo is a lot more slower, and the mechanics of shields and health and the style that Halo has is very unique to Halo. So it's not the mainstream. Like, Halo as a name is mainstream, but the gameplay itself is not mainstream like a lot of other shooter games are, I feel like.
And, that's part of them 343 in their way being true to the Halo formula, which by doing that takes them away from what the masses are playing, the type of shooters that the masses are playing.
Obviously, Battle Royale being kind of the big thing. So you've got Apex, you got PUBG, you've got Valorant.
Honestly,
got Fortnite.
Even if there's a Battle Royale in Halo, I don't know that it would have the draw that people think it will. Will it draw people in? Yes, it will draw people in.
An uptick,
but I don't think it's going to have. I don't think it's going to increase the Halo Infinite population long term.
I think it would,
because it will still have the Halo mechanics to the game mode, or at least it should, if people want to be true to Halo.
I mean, you can either do it with Spartans or ODSTs as far as like the whole drop mechanic.
Like I said, I'm not even talking about the drop mechanic. I'm just talking about the actual gameplay. And that, that's where Halo differs, is the actual gameplay. And I'm not talking about what game mode you're playing. I'm talking about the act of playing the game.
The mechanics of the game. Yep.
You know, it plays different than pretty much every other shooter out there, with maybe the exception of Destiny. But even Destiny's different than Halo because of the different abilities.
Space magic.
The space magic that Destiny has. But of all the games out there, it's probably the closest to Halo because it does have a shield, it does have a health. You know, it does have that same kind of pacing that Halo does. But, you know, that would be about the closest thing out there. You know, everything else is more of a traditional shooter where you only have health, which speeds gameplay up.
I think Battle Royale would definitely have an influx for maybe a couple weeks, maybe a month. And then you would have... it may help streamers a little bit because of the Battle Royale appeal and kind of how it streams well for the most part. So I think that would play a little bit into maybe keeping the numbers up a little bit higher. But I think to your point, yeah, like it wouldn't long term increase the player base significantly, I think.
Yeah,
it's hard to say that because I mean Fortnite's my go-to casual game, and like I love the zero build. It's like it's relaxing, it's fun, and like I feel like Halo has that potential as well, and I'd love to have some kind of, because it's just like you get in and you do your thing. If you're out, you can go right into another game. So
yeah, but see, they've done that, but they make you stay until the end of the game. That's the one thing. If they do implement a battle royale, once you're dead, you need to be able to leave the game and not get penalized for it. Because if you're dead, there's no reason for you to sit there and wait till the end of the match.
Right. The was it the last Spartan standing game mode? You can leave
if you
early.
left, you didn't receive any progress for the game.
Well, it needs to be that, like, once you're out, you get that progress.
Yeah.
It's like,
honestly, once you're out, it ought to just remove you from the game and kick you back into the matchmaking screen.
I get that some people want to be able to watch and see the finish through, but if people leave early, you should, yeah.
Or put up a prompt. Do you want to leave the game? A, yes, B, no.
The only problem is, like, on the server side, it doesn't actually process anything until the match is over, and that's...
See?
Anyways, on to our next one. This is from Fuchs, who may still be in the chat. I'm not sure. I think he might still be. I have enjoyed Halo Infinite, although I have been trying to clear out a backlog of other games, so I haven't really engaged much with the winter update yet. Like Pins, I think the missing stuff is game types and maps for multiplayer, continuing to boost the community content, like including the best maps and matchmaking, or just fun social playlists to test them out and hints on the next story developments. Finally finishing the edit of the Rubicon Protocol podcast, and it reminded me that it sets up the Unity knowing where Installation 07 ran off to, and alive Spartans being down there for Chief to meet in a new biome. Even if they don't want to push the story forward, there's so much you could do with side stories. Unity Strike Team liberates the remaining of Unity Infinity, etc. That I really think they should be pushing stuff forward.
I mean, there is a whole treasure trove of Spartan Ops type missions that could be played out on the ring.
There is so much potential for having campaign DLC, and all the lore nerds. I mean, I enjoyed the Halo Infinite campaign for what it was. It was kind of a nice soft reboot of 343's story and kind of getting back to the roots of what Halo CE was, some of the mystical and wonder while continuing the story. But a lot of the heavy lore folks didn't like it because they thought it just barely scratched the surface, which in one sense I get, but you got to start somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
You got to, like, if you're rebuilding a house, if you're tearing down a house
Halo
and rebuilding
Infinite, when I was first playing through it, I was a little perturbed about the way they chose to do things until I got to the end of the campaign. Then it all made sense. I would have still liked to see more of an introduction of Atriox in game, because outside of that, if you didn't play Halo Wars, you know nothing about him. All you know is this big ape kicked Chief's and that's it. I would have liked to seen a little bit more introduction for Atriox at the beginning. But like I said, once I got to the end, the way they chose to do it made sense.
I wonder if that opinion for us is jaded a little bit, because I felt like for Halo 4 talking with folks, for folks that were kind of not as enveloped in like the book lore and everything else, I feel like a lot of folks that played Halo 4 didn't have a problem. It was probably the worst game for a new person to pick up. Well, I had a coworker that I asked him about, and he's like, no, everything made sense in the campaign, and he doesn't read the books or anything.
Well,
like, yeah, are we spoiled to a certain point because we know all this extra stuff, and like we can't think in that mindset of, okay, well, what does someone who hasn't been exposed to this think of just this before and ending appearance of Atriox? Like, maybe that's cool. Oh, who is this guy? Like, this is setting up for this. Well, we defeated Escharum, so Atriox has to be a worse character, right? Like, this could be setting up for a future story with Atriox.
Well, it was more killing Atriox off at the very beginning of the game. Well, killing him off, air quotes.
Yeah, narratively, you were under the assumption, but I think that kind of plays into the mystery of
like I said, once I got to the end of the story, it made more sense. I still think a little bit more, and it wouldn't take much backstory for Atriox at the beginning would make things make a little bit more sense as to who this was on the UNSC Infinity kicking ass. And like I said, it wouldn't take much. That's just my personal opinion. Because my wife watched the cutscenes with me, and she hangs around me when I play, and I talk to her about Halo. And she's like, who is this guy? After watching the entire scene, she's still like, who is this? Where does he fit in the story?
But is it who is this that I'm frustrated I don't know? Or is it, who is this is like, oh, I'm curious. Like, I want to know more.
She's curious as to who this is, but it's more like, where did this character come from?
I do get that part, and it is a little bit of a, well, out of the blue type of thing. But I mean, at the same time, like, the very first Halo game is like, okay, who's the Covenant?
But in that, they introduce the Covenant. They give you backstory for the Covenant. In game.
Halo Infinite, they give you backstory for the Banished, just not Atriox specifically.
Like I said, it's totally a personal thing.
Yep.
I mean, even just a little bit more in that speech that he gives to Chief before he drops him off the edge of infinity.
Yeah, but
not to mention it just makes it more cringeworthy.
Long antagonist speeches are low full pause. So I'm happy they kept that short. I'm really happy they kept that
like
short.
I said, another 5-10 seconds in that speech, you wouldn't even have noticed. And they could have conveyed quite a bit in that.
I'm sure they.
I'm not saying it's a 10-minute monologue. Yes, you're right. That would not be great. But, another 10 to 30 seconds, and they could have conveyed so much in that time. But overall, I'm very happy with the choices. I'm even happy with the way they ended the created storyline.
Well, we don't know if it's fully done yet.
Well, it's done as far as Cortana's concerned.
Yes, this is true. I want to catch back real quick up on the chat. Got a new follower, Lord Elthes. I probably am missaying that, so thank you. He also commented on our topic here. Forge needs a matchmaking queue, given the option to have it in the custom browser or have your map put into a pool for people to queue into. I think 343 is kind of waiting to see what comes out of the Forge beta since they're still in beta.
Mm-hmm.
And they have talked about incorporating community-made content into matchmaking. They've done it for all past Halo games. Don't see why they wouldn't do it for Halo Infinite at all. The last one we have here is from Nightshade. They say, Infinite makes me genuinely sad. I had a moment with a friend the other night where we realized that Infinite had disappointed or let us down so many times at this point that we were just finished. Launch was bad, updates after were just not enough, and finally playing through the campaign when co-op was released let such a sour... I think he meant left, or she left, or whatever. I think they meant left. Such a sour taste in our mouths, both story and gameplay-wise. Finally, Forge releases, and it seems incredibly minus a few other minor things that bothered us specifically. Mainly, co-op forging is much clunkier and frustrating to work with. I'm paraphrasing and skipping a ton of stuff, but the nail in the coffin was how awful the custom browser was implemented. Anyways, I won't touch in weapon balancing and other such stuff, but I will sum up how I feel about Infinite. The game killed my passion for Halo in a way I couldn't have expected. I stopped playing older games, I stopped going through the books I had missed over the years. Even my yearly tradition of playing the final level of Halo 3 on New Year's felt hollow. Perhaps is overly dramatic, but it's honestly how I feel personally, and I want to end on that thought. Personally, my friend and I strongly dislike Infinite and the direction this game went and seems to be going, but that's okay. Other people are enjoying it and are excited for the future, and I hope they get everything they want out of it, sincerely. Halo just isn't for me anymore, and I suppose I'm okay with that. To answer the last 2 points, if I want to see anything, I would want to see a solid pass on weapon balancing and making the UI not as awful as it is. Gosh, the UI is, yeah. As for the roadmap, honestly, I would prefer them to go about things like Hello Games does and just drop updates when they are done, trailer for the day before, and update the next day, but I'm not sure how that would work. Anyways, thanks if you read all my rambles. Well, we did, and thank you for sharing.
Well, the funny thing is don't get me wrong, the customs browser is a nice thing, but it's also a new thing for Halo in general. I mean, I know the PC ports had the custom browsers. Xbox never had. Until MCC, it never existed for Xbox.
Halo 5 had it before MCC did, I think.
A customs browser?
Yeah. I thought Halo 5's customs browser came out before MCC did. I could be wrong. Someone correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure.
Anyway, the customs browser is still relatively new in the Halo games. So when it wasn't there at launch, I didn't miss it. Now, the landscape of Halo has changed a lot since the early days. I mean, not many people, it doesn't seem like a lot of people go into Halo matchmaking to find people to play Halo with. They have their little group of people they play with, and that's it.
Yeah, these days there's not a lot of that going on.
Honestly, I'm just as guilty as anybody else.
Same.
Anymore, first thing I do on a game is disable voice chat because of the sheer number of people that, yeah, if you're communicating and talking about the map, that's great. But unfortunately, the bulk of the people I come across are talking about anything but the actual game, or they're offering feedback that is not helpful.
Or it's a Connect microphone.
I don't even really mind that either. It's what's being said that bothers me.
Now, there are some gyms out there, and there have been times where it's like, oh man, I wish I could talk to this person, but then again, my Astros are connected to my PC, not my Xbox. So unless I fully swing over to PC gaming, which I'm trying to get there a little bit with my new build and everything, the ease of jumping into a game with friends, and you can just message friends and be like, hey, you want to play, and you can play. And then also on top of busy schedule, so it's like, okay, Friday nights is my time to play with friends. I don't really play a lot of other times. don't have nearly the free time as I did back when I was single and when I was in college.
Yeah, well, same here.
So life just dictates. It's a very the gaming aspect.
Adulting sucks.
Very different. Well, yeah, there's part of that too. It's just changed. Like before,
but I mean, yeah, just the sheer landscape of gaming has changed, and yeah, this doesn't really apply to just Halo either. Now, granted, I play a very small number of games, an even smaller number of games that are actually multiplayer.
Finished.
But I don't find people like I used to. Everybody on my friends list is from Halo, whether it be CE.
Most of mine are.
Halo 2, well, I should say Halo 2, Halo 3, Reach, Halo Wars. I mean, even Halo 4. I've gotten friends from that. But honestly, since like halfway through Halo 4 on, really haven't added that many friends. I mean, I've added some people that we have that show up regularly on Friday nights.
Yep.
But
like World Changer and
from
Bobby's couple friends and
yeah. I mean, just from me when I play by myself, that's where most of my friends came from. Is me solo queuing into matchmaking on Halo.
And that's the way it was done.
It doesn't. I have a much harder time finding somebody I would want to be on my friends list now. And it's gotten to the point where I've pretty much stopped trying. And I don't know if it's the same for everybody out there, but it's just that it's kind of the way the landscape is, at least from my point of view.
Yeah, I would agree. There's a lot of different things that just have changed with the times, really. So
yeah, I don't know if it's the gray in the beard or what, or I don't have the patience for those people anymore.
I mean, there's some good ones out there. There, like I said, there have been times where I have run into matchmaking. There's someone that actually has good communication. That is like they're still talking, even though there's no one else on the microphone, and it's actually helping the team out. So there are those people out there, and every time that happens, I'm like, I can't talk to you, but I would like to talk to you. So, but nonetheless, thank you, Nightshade, for sending in your submission. I know we didn't really talk a lot about the specifics that you had provided, but be curious to understand a little bit more what about the gameplay and story made you disappointed. I didn't get too much detail sense of what you submitted in there. I get that the direction that 343 has taken Halo has definitely not sat well with a lot of folks, whether it be Halo 5 is what was the nail in the coffin or Halo Infinite was the nail in the coffin. Something new is always going to leave some people wanting more. And I'm sorry that Halo Infinite has kind of soured the taste of the Halo franchise for you. That's all we've got as far as responses to our questions. So now it's our turn to share. I think for my first impression or my first year impression for me for Halo Infinite, definitely a lot of room for improvement, if I want to put it nicely. There's a lot of things that obviously I know as being a forerunner that I can't really dive into. But prior Halo games have struggled with kind of early on scoping and changes in direction of the game. So a lot of just development turmoil at the very beginning, not having a clear vision, clear direction, probably has something to do with part of what's caused such a rough launch for Infinite. I think that a lot of the core fundamentals should have been there as a launch feature. In one sense, I get why they weren't there, from just the technological complexity that they had to deal with for a new game engine and COVID and other reasons. But I get, as a fan, why I would not be happy with having kind of the half-baked product that they released last year being released in the state that it was. Thankfully, matchmaking was not as huge of an issue as the MCC launch or Halo 5 launches were. So that was a huge plus for Infinite. They actually had a good matchmaking launch, thankfully. Content was super slow. And I think a lot of that, again, boils down to is that last minute rush of they didn't have time to prepare new content. They were busy fixing the game before launch. So going back to previous, like Halo 4 and Halo Reach and Halo 3, where it's like, okay, game's out. 3 months down the line, bam, new map pack. Another 3 months down the line, bam, new map pack, new game mode. Another 3 months down the line, bam, new set of maps.
Well,
and
yeah,
Halo Infinite has just struggled from that because of all the technical debt that they incurred during development and up to release for the game. And that has really left a sour taste in people's mouth because there's no content. People aren't going to stay if it's stale, if they think there's problems with the game, which Halo Infinite definitely has some problems. We've seen the issues with desync that they've continued to work on, how some core fundamental mechanics have changed. Equipment has changed a lot of things. The non-collision with players. There's a lot of things that changed that has really messed with the engine.
Mm-hmm.
You're about to say something.
Oh, are you done?
Yeah, I kind of stumbled into the second question, but yeah, for the first two questions, I'm pretty much done. Sorry about that.
Go ahead and finish up.
Okay. So as far as what I would like to see on the roadmap, definitely need those dev-made maps. Like, I get Forge is impressive, and it is. The maps that the community has come out with is fantastic. But you can only do so much in Forge, and there's going to be little quirks, like on some of the big team maps where you have the big ship in the sky or the big turret firing off on an event. Like, that's only going to be done in a dev-made environment because those are custom assets that need to be built and optimized for the game engine. And little quirks like the hacking thing for fragmentation. Like, there's cool little nuances that you can do with custom maps, custom sandboxes, custom environments that can tell the story going alongside with the fractures storyline in multiplayer, which is kind of a excuse to have seasons in a way. I think there's a lot of things that could get fleshed out to make that more enjoyable, more consumable. But we need content to keep things engaged. And obviously, you don't need to have content planned for 5 years as far as maps. But I mean, if you're a live service, might as well. I mean, Rainbow Six comes out with new operatives and new modes and new operations, new maps at least once, twice a year. So yeah, kind of like I said before when I answered Uni's question before, I think maps, dev-made maps is going to be huge. Obviously, bring in some of the user-generated content to fill in some of the playlists as well. So have that mix of new dev-made maps, community maps brought in, and those core game modes, Griffball, Infection, an official race game mode that can be forged with more of that core fundamental game modes that can be put into matchmaking. Okay, now I'm done with my response. So GT, your response to the 3 questions.
I agree with most of what Des said. The first year of Infinite was rough. I enjoyed the gameplay. I enjoyed the matchmaking. I enjoyed the campaign. I think the campaign told a very good story. I think they told a very complete story. It left me with, okay, what's next? You know, unlike the Halo 2 ending where you're like, what the huh? This is it?
Yeah.
You know, they gave a good closure to this first story. I am looking forward to expansion of this story. However that comes. They are facing it. It was a perfect storm against Halo, against 343. You have this demand by the developers to give them better tools to build Halo with, which requires a total revamp of the engine. So you have to build a new engine, and you have to build the tools to work with the engine. Then you have to get people trained on the new tools and the new engine, and COVID strikes. Then you have some poor decisions made by some members of management. You have issues working together because you're all stuck at home. And no, I'm not just making excuses for them. These are not excuses, they are facts. I'm surprised Halo Infinite launched at all. Honestly.
The fact that got a year delay just
I literally thought it was going to get canceled with as many problems that were plaguing the game. When they announced that they were going to be delaying the game for a year, I'm like, God, I hope it's only a year. Because it could have easily been another 5 years. It probably still really needed another 2 years in order to get the game built to the point where it is now, and to get all the seasonal assets taken care of, all the different, maps, modes, all the seasonal content ready before launch. In the past, the expansions we used to get were worked on alongside the game. While the game is being developed, these expansion packs were being developed at the same time.
Yeah, or as they're putting final polishes, like there's other teams that can still be doing future content work. But another part is the hiring freeze from Microsoft.
Like I said, it was a perfect storm.
Didn't help either.
I don't know what Microsoft had in their head putting a hiring freeze on when they have studios that need people to develop the product that they're trying to sell.
In the total of Microsoft's portfolio, I'm sure Halo's not that.
No, it's not
high up on the list.
Microsoft has proven that we are the testers now, over and over again. Ever since Windows 8 launched, we have been the testers. They have very little internal quality control anymore. It's not high on their priority. And this is not a dig to 343.
That's just Microsoft.
That is just the tools they are given. And they are doing what they can with those tools. Anyway, overall, I've been pretty happy with the first year. Yes, it took a long time to get content. But honestly, I really didn't care. I had fun playing the game. Because when I started playing Halo, you didn't have a lot of options. You played in the playlist that had population.
Big team.
It was big team or ranked, usually.
Yep.
Those were the places where people were.
Yeah.
Even when they had social playlists, I honestly, after a little while, I got away from playing social playlists because of the matchmaking systems they had in the earlier games. I didn't like the way it balanced matches. Does Halo Infinite do it better? Not always. I feel for the guys that actually have skill and the troubles they face trying to get games, but I'm not sorry. When you have a game like this, the one thing people have to remember is that it has to be accessible for everybody, not just the lowest end of the players or the highest end of the players. It has to be available for everybody. And they have to they have made choices to make the game as fun for as many people as possible.
Yeah. Which there's a lot of talk in the community right now saying that it's a lot of the casual vocal community feels like it's being very competitive focused right now, and then all of the competitive Halo communities like this game isn't balanced for competitive. So it's a very interesting dynamic in the community right now.
Yeah, the game could be.
I get the argument for both sides.
Tweaked to be competitive. The tools are there. The thing that bugs me is I hear all these people complaining about how they cannot get games because they're ranked such and such. Because, every season they're a Diamond 4. I'm sorry. Not everybody in the Halo community is a Diamond 4. The one thing I've been impressed with all of the matchmaking systems 343 have used is they've done a pretty decent job of balancing lobbies.
Well, with the recent update, I would agree with that for Infinite.
Like Before, I said,
I would say no.
Sometimes even early Halo 5, it sucked. Until they revamped their matchmaking system for Halo 5, it sucked.
Yeah, I know the new True Skill gets a lot of flack, but I think it actually, I've enjoyed matchmaking more because of the capabilities it allows.
Yeah, since they launched True Skill 2, I've had a more enjoyable time in matchmaking.
Now, the aiming in Halo Infinite just sucks.
That's just you.
For me. Well, yeah, that's a me problem, but
that's like me in Halo 3. To every other broadside of a
Halo
scorpion.
Game.
I will admit, yes, the aiming is a little wonky in Infinite, and it gets me from time to time. Well, a lot more.
I can go into MCC and Halo 5, and my aiming is fine. Halo Infinite, nope.
It's like when I go into Halo 3, all of a sudden I can't hit.
Halo 3 is, once you figure out the quirks, it's...
Never been able to do it.
Well, and the way they change things for MCC with the Halo 3 aiming to make it more aligned with the other Halo games, I've enjoyed Halo 3 a lot more in MCC.
Still hasn't helped me any. I don't know what it is, but in Halo 3, it just, unless it's a big explosion, I can't hit crap.
Rockets.
Scorpion tank, Wraith, Ghost, vehicles, even the chain gun on a Warthog. I can kill people with that. But anything else? I mean, point blank with an AR and I can't kill someone.
Your problem with Halo 3 is my problem with Infinite, basically.
I mean, I've got settings tweaked in Halo Infinite where it's better than it was at launch. It's taken me a while to kind of tweak the settings to get it to feel right. But like I said, I have to tweak the settings with every game. Just Halo Infinite took a lot more tweaking than normal. Usually it's small changes, where in Infinite it was big changes.
I'm still figuring it out in Infinite. But well, that's the topic for this podcast. Actually pushed us over an hour. It's been a while since we've done a podcast that's over an hour. So go us. Not sure what we're doing next week as far as topic yet. We will probably pick up on our campaign series. I think we were on either the Conservatory or the Spire is where we left off on our campaign discussion.
We'll have to go back and check. It's been so long.
Yeah. So we'll probably tee that up for the next one as we look to get our first guest on for 2023. And I have also several books to finish, so we'll probably have some kind of book discussion at some point too. That's another thing I plan to... I made progress last year on getting caught up. I still behind, but I think I made positive progress and not negative progress last year. So
no, I think you just broke even.
Did I break even?
I don't know. How many books did you read last year?
I think
2,
3 or 4. Started 4th, something like that.
Okay, well, I guess you're probably still a little bit ahead.
So I plan to keep that trajectory going in the positive direction. I'm halfway through. Is it Silent Storm, the one they go back to Reach? Yeah, halfway through that book. I plan to finish that this month. And we'll let you all know when we come up with other podcast-related things. When will Installation 00 be back on? Well, we had him on only like a couple months ago. So the next major milestone that he probably meets for his Project Mjolnir is probably when we'll have him back on. And I think he mentioned it'll probably be like summer or fall time for another. Oh, Shadows of Reach. Thanks, Pens. So it'll probably be summer or fall before we have him on again. Real Life Spartan has voiced interest in coming back on the show. I would love to reach out to a few other folks that I met at HCS Worlds. So possibly try to get some of that lined up as well. And
now that Bonnie doesn't have a job, maybe we could get her on.
So I had to ask open to Unishek about possibly trying to get some folks from the studio on, and I need to follow up with that request. So we'll see. If there are any guests that you all would like to see us get on, that is in the somewhat realm of possible, so AKA not Steve Downs or Jen Taylor, or Joe Staten, or Frankie, let us know. Drop a note in the Discord, hit us up on socials, and we will do what we can do. And that's going to cover it for us tonight. Thank you, Ace, for that comment. We'll see you all tomorrow for Fraggin' Friday. Again, hop in the Discord. We'll let you all know if I think we're still planning to do Xbox party chat, but if we decide to change that, we'll let you all know. I will not be there tomorrow. In-laws are coming over to celebrate January birthdays tomorrow. So if I am on, it'll be probably like 9:30 or 10 if I do get a chance to be on. But otherwise, I will probably not be on tomorrow. But Game Prep, that would be an interesting one. I just don't have I could try to reach out to Game Fabricator on Twitter. I would just have to really preload the okay, what do we really want to ask him about Halo CE development and the ideas for Halo? Like, would really have to iron out that list to get Game Fabricator on the podcast, I feel like. So that's going to wrap it up, unless GT got anything else to add.
Nothing today.
All right. Thank you, folks, for tuning in. Going to do a quick shout out for our Patreon as well. As a patron at certain tiers, you actually get to recommend topics for us to discuss as well. So if you are a patron, you kind of get a front line access to proposing things that we could talk about. So you can do !Patreon in the Twitch chat if you're there, or head on over to podtacular.com/Patreon. Check out the perks and recommend a topic. Check out the VODs from our podcast live streams that we don't publish unless you come and watch it live. And a few other little things on there too. For some of y'all, we'll see y'all tomorrow, and we'll see the rest of y'all next week for our next podcast installment. Until then, keep on fragging them trucks. Thank you for listening to Podtacular, the unofficial Halo Universe podcast. You can find our podcast on your favorite podcasting service and listen to us live every Thursday night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Twitch. Check out our website, podtacular.com, and join the community on Discord at podtacular.com/Discord. If you want to play Halo with us, come join us for Fraggin' Fridays at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. You can find us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Become a supporter of the show by sharing the show with your friends and family. Or help keep the lights on by subscribing to us on Twitch, donating via PayPal, or becoming a patron alongside Confal, Pens Halo, and Prestige Ace. Until next time, keep on fragging trucks.